Have you ever felt like no matter how much effort you put into a relationship, the man doesn't value you as he should? This happens because there are psychological triggers that directly influence how he perceives you. In today's video, I'm going to reveal 10 little-known tricks that will make any man recognize your true worth and want to be by your side. And trick number 7 is so powerful that it can completely change the way he reacts to you. So watch until the end. Trick number 1, the power of scarcity. Have you ever noticed that everything that seems rare becomes more valuable? This applies to luxury handbags, sold-out tickets, and relationships. If a man feels like he can have your attention all the time, he may end up valuing you less. But if you know how to create a sense of scarcity, he'll realize that your presence is special. And the best part? This happens unconsciously. A simple way to do this is by avoiding being available all the time. If he texts you, don't reply right away. If he asks you out at the last minute, don't always say yes. This doesn't mean ignoring him or playing games, but rather showing that your life is full of interesting things beyond him. When a man sees that you're not chasing after him, he feels the need to pursue you. Another important detail: scarcity doesn't mean coldness. When you're together, enjoy the moment and be present. But afterward, go back to your routine as usual, without feeling the need to keep in constant contact. He'll start to miss you and wonder what you're up to. And do you know what happens when a man feels like he could lose you? He starts valuing your presence even more. This trick works because it taps into a man's natural hunter instinct. Men love challenges, and if something is too easy, their interest fades. But if he feels like he has to put in effort to earn a place in your life, he'll see you as someone truly special. Now, if you want to make this connection even stronger, there's a little-known psychological detail that can create an irresistible bond. Trick number 2, the mirroring technique. Have you ever felt connected to someone without even knowing why? It could be a coworker, a new friend, or even a stranger you just met. This happens because, unconsciously, we tend to like people who resemble us. And the good news is that you can use this effect to your advantage to make a man feel more in sync and connected with you. The mirroring technique consists of subtly adopting some of his behaviors. If he speaks calmly, slow down your speech a bit. If he frequently uses certain words or expressions, naturally incorporate some of them into your conversations. If he gestures a lot, subtly reflect his body language. This creates a sense of familiarity that makes him feel more comfortable around you. The key is subtlety. If you copy him too much, he might notice and find it weird. But if you do it naturally, he won't consciously realize it. He'll just feel a stronger connection without knowing exactly why. This trick activates a powerful psychological trigger. The more we feel similar to someone, the more we like and trust them. Now tell me, have you ever felt more connected to someone because you shared similar habits? Or have you noticed a man getting closer when you had things in common? Comment below. And speaking of creating a connection, there's one detail that can make a man think about you for hours, even when you're not around. Trick number 3, the power of uncertainty. Have you ever noticed how we tend to value things more when we're not sure if we can have them? When a man feels like he has completely won you over, he relaxes and stops making an effort. But if there's a certain level of uncertainty, his mind stays occupied trying to figure you out. This sparks curiosity and keeps his interest alive for much longer. To apply this trick, avoid being predictable. Don't reveal all your emotions too obviously. Instead of always saying exactly how you feel, let him wonder about it a little. A simple example: if he compliments you, instead of immediately saying, "Thank you, you're amazing too," smile and playfully say, "Oh, really?" This kind of response keeps him engaged and wanting to impress you more. Another way to create this healthy uncertainty is by keeping some mystery about your life. Not everything has to be shared right away. If he asks what you did over the weekend, instead of giving every detail, say something like, "It was fun. I'll tell you more later." This makes him curious and eager to know more about you. Small details like these play with a man's mind in a powerful way. What's most interesting is that this feeling of uncertainty triggers a man's natural desire to pursue. He starts realizing that he still needs to win you over, that you're not a guaranteed prize. And when a man feels like he has to keep earning a woman's affection, he naturally values her much more. But if you want him to keep thinking about you even after your date is over, there's a little-known technique that can make this happen almost magically. Trick number 4, the Zygarnik effect. Have you ever had a song stuck in your head just because you heard a small part of it? Or felt the urge to finish a series because you stopped at a suspenseful episode? This happens because of the Zygarnik effect, a psychological phenomenon that makes our minds fixate on unfinished tasks. And when applied correctly, it can make a man think about you for much longer. One way to use this to your advantage is to never fully wrap up a conversation. If you're texting or talking in person, end the conversation at an interesting moment. For example, if you're telling a funny story, stop in the middle and say, "I'll tell you the rest later." This creates a mental hook that keeps him waiting for the conclusion. And the best part? He'll think of you every time he remembers it. This technique also works during dates. If you're having a great time together, don't wait for the moment to cool down before leaving. Leave at the peak of the interaction, making him want more. This makes him associate your presence with intense and memorable moments, creating a much stronger emotional impact. That way, he won't just want to see you again, he'll be the one making sure the next date happens. When a man feels like something is unfinished, his mind works to resolve that gap. That's what makes him want to reach out again, text you, and seek more moments with you. And speaking of keeping his interest alive, there's a subtle detail that can spark genuine respect and an even deeper attraction. Trick number 5, subtly challenge. His opinion, nothing grabs a man's attention more than a woman who thinks for herself. Men are attracted to challenges, and when everything is easy and predictable, their interest can fade. A powerful way to stand out is by not agreeing with everything he says. This doesn't mean being stubborn or starting unnecessary arguments, but rather showing that you have your own opinions and aren't afraid to express them. Imagine he says that a certain movie is the best of all time. Instead of just agreeing to please him, try saying, "Really? I actually think another movie does an even better job. But tell me, what made you like this one so much?" This kind of response keeps the conversation engaging and makes him realize that you're not just another person who blindly says yes to everything. The key is in your tone and attitude. It's not about being rude or contradicting him just for the sake of it, but about demonstrating authenticity. When a man feels like he has to explain and defend his points, he automatically gets more involved in the conversation and in you. He'll see you as someone intriguing, someone who challenges him in an engaging and irresistible way. This type of interaction creates a special dynamic because he starts seeing you as a unique woman with independent thinking. And that generates respect and admiration, two essential feelings for a man to truly value someone by his side. But if you want this admiration to go beyond conversation and reach an unconscious level, there's a psychological phenomenon that can make it happen without him even realizing it. Trick number 6, the halo effect in your favor. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to be admired everywhere, no matter what they do? This happens because of the halo effect, a psychological phenomenon where one positive trait influences how others perceive all aspects of a person. And the best part? You can use this strategically to make yourself stand out even more. The idea here is simple. Associate yourself with things he already admires. If he respects people who take care of themselves, show that you have a healthy routine. If he values intelligence, share your thoughts on interesting topics. If he has a positive view of confident women, demonstrate security in your actions. Over time, your presence will be linked to these qualities, making him see you in an even more positive light. Another subtle way to activate the halo effect is by placing yourself in environments and situations that convey status and sophistication. This doesn't mean showing off, but rather choosing places that elevate your image. A cozy dinner at a nice restaurant, an elegant hobby, or even the way you present yourself on social media can influence how he perceives you. When this effect kicks in, he starts seeing you as someone special without even knowing why. That's because his mind will associate your traits with everything he already admires. But if you want to take this perception even deeper, there's a silent technique that can make him feel fascinated by you, without you having to say a single word. Trick number 7, use silence as a weapon. It's not always what you say that impacts a man, but rather what you choose not to say. Silence, when used strategically, can be a powerful tool for creating respect, maintaining curiosity, and even making him rethink his actions. Many women think they need to fill every gap with words, but knowing when to hold back can be even more effective. Imagine he does something that bothers you, like taking too long to reply or acting indifferent. Instead of complaining or demanding an explanation, try simply pulling back a little and not giving him as much attention. This silence creates space for him to notice your absence and reflect on his behavior. Many times, a man only truly starts valuing a woman when he feels like he might be losing her. Another way to use this strategy is during conversations. If he says something provocative or expects an immediate reaction, resist the urge to respond right away. Pause, look him in the eyes, and then decide what to say. This small moment of silence creates tension, captures his attention, and makes him put in more effort to keep the conversation interesting. Well-placed silence creates mystery, conveys self-confidence, and makes him more careful with his actions. A man respects a woman who knows when to hold back far more than one who constantly spills all her emotions without a filter. And speaking of making him work harder to impress you, there's a subtle technique that can trigger this competitive instinct in him without him even realizing it. Trick number 8, the partial validation. Technique men love feeling admired, but a compliment that's too easy can lose its impact. If you want him to genuinely put in effort to impress you, use the partial validation technique. Instead of giving him full, unquestioned praise, make a positive remark that leaves room for him to want to prove himself even more. This triggers his desire to earn your approval. For example, if he tells you about something he did well at work, instead of saying, "Wow, you're amazing," try something like, "That's interesting. I wouldn't have expected you to handle it that way." See the difference? You acknowledge his effort, but you also introduce a slight uncertainty that makes him want to impress you even more. He feels like he's almost earned your full admiration, but there's still room for him to stand out. Another practical example, if he dresses well, instead of saying, "You have great style," try, "I like your style today. It really suits you." The word "today" subtly implies variation, making him want to maintain or even surpass that standard next time. Small details like this make him feel challenged to always surprise you. This technique works because it subtly plays with the male ego without overdoing it. He feels like he's on the right track, but still needs to put in more effort to truly win your respect and attention. And speaking of lasting impact, there's a little-known secret that makes a man see you as completely different from all other women around him. Trick number 9, the power of personal storytelling. The way you talk about yourself can completely transform how a man sees you. When you share stories in an engaging way, he doesn't just listen, he feels like he's living that moment with you. This creates a much stronger emotional connection than simply giving short, direct answers about your life. Think about the difference between saying, "I traveled to Italy," and telling a story like, "One time in Italy, I got lost in a narrow street in Rome and ended up discovering this amazing little cafe where I had the best tiramisu of my life." Which answer is more captivating? When you add details, emotions, and small hooks to your stories, he becomes genuinely interested in what you have to say. The key is turning even simple moments into engaging narratives. If he asks about your weekend, instead of just saying, "It was good," say something like, "I went out with some friends and we ended up finding this really cool place with live music. It was unexpected and so much fun." This makes him visualize the scene and want to be a part of your world. When a woman knows how to tell stories in a compelling way, she becomes unforgettable. He'll remember your energy, the way your eyes light up when you talk, and the feeling of wanting to hear more. And if you want to add one last irresistible touch, there's a small shift in your attitude that can create a surprising psychological effect. Trick number 10, the maybe. Game words have immense power over how we are perceived. A simple change in the way you respond can completely shift the dynamic between you and a man. And there's one word that can create a psychological effect that makes him want to win you over even more. Maybe, when he asks you out, instead of immediately saying yes or no, try saying, "Maybe I'll see how my day goes." This creates a subtle suspense and makes him anticipate your answer. Without realizing it, he starts valuing your time more because he feels like he needs to earn it. It's not just handed to him. This also works in conversations. If he asks if you like a certain kind of music or movie instead of answering directly, try, maybe it depends on the moment. This response sparks his curiosity and keeps the mystery alive. He'll feel the need to explore more about you, making the interaction far more engaging. The secret to maybe is showing that you have options and that your attention isn't automatically given. This tiny detail changes the way he sees you and makes him put in the effort to secure a place in your life. And when a man feels like he has to work to earn you, that's when he truly values you. If you enjoyed these tips and want to learn more about how to make men value you even more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss any new content. And now that you know these psychological tricks, there's another video appearing on the screen that will help you understand the male mind even better. Click on it and keep learning how to become an unforgettable woman. For any man,